is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 89. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E. Sitting here Sunday afternoon, FC2 getting ready to kick off here in a little under an hour, so wanted to start the podcast, and of course, as we do on these Sundays with FC2 matches, go watch that after it, and then come back and finish it out with some last business day. But as always, how you feeling here? I mean, a lot of football this weekend, the American football.
I mean, I'm already frustrated, already hate fantasy football, already am over the season and don't want to deal with it. My team's obviously not performing up to expectation, up to projection. So then whenever that happens, it's always the makings of a bad day, but we'll get through it. We'll persevere. We got the second half here and of these games coming up, and then FC2, which will be great. And hopefully we can turn it around.
When you're maybe I need to subscribe to how you approach most of your professional sports ingestion, right? Where you just don't have a team, because my team just made my day even worse.
Yeah.
And man, I also wish I was not somebody who could, or somebody who would not let, something completely out of my control and bigger than myself affect my day and probably my week. But here I am. So.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm the one who has to deal with the brunt of it. Me and Annabelle.
Yeah. Lucky for her, it's mostly you. I just yell at you to get through it, but no yelling on this podcast, and maybe a little later. I guess we can't promise that. But what I think you're talking about projections. I think I project this episode to be the shortest episode of the North End Podcast to date. So let's get to it. We know we had the trio of guys out on international duty. First, Julio Cascante and Costa Rica taking on Saudi Arabia on Friday and getting the win. Julio getting the start back there in front of course, the legendary Keylor Navas there, the Costa Rican keeper. And Julio playing the full 90 in a 3-1 victory over Saudi Arabia. And to be honest, watching this match, I would be lying to you if I said Julio looked like the best player out there, but I thought he was more than solid in that role. Again, I don't think has been with the national team in, I believe, 8 years, if I recall correctly. So it was good to see him get out there, get that time, that experience for him at this point in his career, and for his squad to get the win.
Yeah, a great honor and get the dub. That's awesome. This man just keeps playing, keeps churning out 90-minute games over and over and over. So let's hope for a little rotation coming up in this next game that they got. I don't want to run them into the ground any more than we already have here in Austin. But congrats to Costa Rica, and good luck in the next match for sure.
Yeah, they will take on the UAE on Tuesday before heading back stateside. So there'll be, 5 days between that and the Austin FC match against Portland here a week from today. So hopefully, again, like you said, even if he does play 90, hopefully plenty of time for him to recover and recuperate and be ready to go on Sunday in whatever role he is called upon. Let's talk about our two Austin FC 2 boys, I should say, who were across the pond in various continents there. Bobo, of course, with the Ugandan national team, once again, finishing up the qualifying for the Africa Cup of Nations. And we knew the scenario going in, right? Sitting in third in that group of 4. They needed a victory over Niger, and they needed Tanzania to lose to Algeria and then gain 2 in the goal differential battle there, which, if we got there, that would have been the 7th tiebreaker for Uganda to advance. And so Uganda, Bobo, gets the start and almost plays the entire match. He came out in the 2nd minute of stoppage time in the second half, and Bobo, again, Uganda wins 2-0 over Niger. So they did their part there. Bobo completed 21 of his 27 passes, had 7 of those passes into the final third, 4 interceptions and 7 recoveries for Bobo with 4 duels, 1. If you didn't watch the match, 7.4 rating on the FOTMOB algorithm there. So good on Bobo. Seemed like a pretty darn good performance for him. But then you look across the group at the Algeria and Tanzania match, and look, man, these stats are pretty wild. Tanzania, 20% possession, a total of 67 completed passes. That was 47% of attempted passes were accurate. And they hold on for a 0-0 draw, and they advance to the Africa Cup of Nations. So Uganda knocked out, unfortunately, because we would love to see, especially with the FC2 season coming to a close over the next 6 weeks or so. We would love to see them continue on through that tournament and Bobo get that experience in the offseason. Alas, Tanzania and Algeria, what the hell, man? They had so many missed big chances, so many shots, and they were they were pushing for a winner at the end and just not, I guess, more credit to Tanzania for holding on there, because Algeria, man, brought on Riyad Mahrez with like 25 minutes to go. Still couldn't get one across the line. So congrats to Bobo on the win. Best effort certainly was put out there and just came up a little bit short.
Yeah, and that's what happens when those things are out of your control like that. I was looking at the starting lineup for Algeria there in the matchups versus Uganda and versus Tanzania, and they ran a different formation in that Tanzania game and definitely got some rotation with their guys in there. And 80% possession, 537 completed passes to 67, right? You said?
Yeah.
That's an interesting game. That's an interesting matchup. But shout out to Bobo for what was a great experience. Obviously, it would have been awesome to see him keep going on, but we'll welcome him back with open arms. And he's a young dude. He's going to have plenty of chances over there.
Yeah, and we need him back here with FC2 as soon as possible. It's all hands on deck here trying to secure that second seed. And man, just like we've heard that phrase, it's a cruel game, probably too much over the last month, right? But like that scenario there, and I think it was Group H in the qualifying there, was just, that's just cruel.
Tough.
Of course, Micah Burton also with the U17 national team. We talked about them defeating Ukraine on the last episode. The two matches over the weekend, the first one against Switzerland, we did get a Micah Burton start there. So started the first two of the Zac Cup there, just kind of a round robin tournament in the Czech Republic. That match against Switzerland, 3-1 loss for the U17. So good to see Micah, staying in that lineup and playing a part, but not the way we wanted to finish this tournament. 3-1 loss to Switzerland. And then earlier this morning on Sunday, Micah did not get the start here, and the U17s go down to the hosts 2-0. So a 1-2 tournament for the US U17s. But again, it's like you said, it's great experience for Micah Burton, and he's going to have plenty more chances, at least at the youth level, to continue, growing in that manner.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a hard thing to navigate with this international stuff and representing the country, and then also, having your professional gig back here. And I know MLS isn't perfectly aligned with all of the international breaks that need to take place. So take from it what you can, and keep building on that, Micah.
Yeah, no question. We did finally get to on Friday. We kind of teased a couple of times on the podcast over the last few weeks that we had some fun stuff to talk about in terms of everybody's favorite chicken there in Pollo FC and our buddies at the Fighting Leslie's Drinking Club. And so now they release the information on Friday so we can talk about it. Those two supporters groups, your Pollo FC, your Fighting Leslie's Drinking Club, coming together to release a limited edition beer, Fighting Pollo Pilz. And so we were lucky enough to go and be a part of their little promotional video shoot. It was a blast to hang out with all those folks there, see some familiar faces, meet some new friends. And so this beer, Fighting Pollo Pilz, will benefit the Mobile Loaves and Fishes Community First Village. The Community First Village already houses 350 formerly unhoused Austinites, and they plan to add 127 more acres to the community, which will bring the total number of homes on the property to 1,900 homes there at the Community First Village. So Fighting Pollo Pilz will be released on September 30th at the watch party at Austin Beer Works. And so that will be the Colorado away match. And what they said at the press conference, they can't guarantee you get any beer. If you don't make the watch party, the quantities will be extremely limited. So that watch party, doors at 7, kickoff 8:30, Austin FC versus the Colorado Rapids. Come get you some Fighting Pollo Pilz. And you're also going to see some limited edition merch at the party, including stickers, t-shirts, tank tops, koozies, lighters, hats, and patches. So all the kind of merch your heart could desire. I'm super grateful to be included in that. It was a blast, and super excited to go to the watch party and participate in all of that for a good cause.
Yeah, a great cause. I got a poker night that night.
You do?
I know. I'm conflicted. I obviously want to go. I want to be there, but I think we planned the initial poker night around me.
Oh, did you?
And I obviously fucked up the schedule, and I had to be like, hey, I'm gonna have to not play in the second game so I can watch Austin play. So maybe I can rally all these dudes and we can bring a whole crew up there.
I mean, never wrong to just rally the crew of dudes and bring them to the party. So hopefully we see E and his crew of dudes, and hopefully we see you at Austin Beer Works on the 30th. I will certainly be there, and I'll pick you up a lighter, E.
I want a patch. I got
okay. Yeah, that's right. You still need to get your vest going.
Yeah, once I finally get that started.
Someone come sew this shit for E.
It's only been 7 months. Please.
There were some MLS matches, 4 to be exact, on Saturday evening. Obviously, we talked about some of those, the implications in the Western Conference for these games on last week's episode. San Jose and DC, 0-0 draw. So again, the best thing for Austin FC would have been a Fighting Runes win there, and no points for San Jose. But I'm not complaining about the draw there. We know Inter Miami was extremely shorthanded here because of the international break, hosting Sporting KC. And then Miami's lineup comes out, and you really see how different this roster is, because the lineup was still pretty damn good, and good enough to get a 3-2 result over Sporting KC. We'll certainly take that. But man, does Miami I feel almost even worse about everybody else's chances if they're able to win that match without the list of players that were unavailable for them. I don't know if you got to watch any of that, but the result at least is a little bit eyebrow raising, at least for me.
I agree. I mean, they were heavily rotated, and it's a testament to how they built that roster and how they utilized, those U22 spots. They kept them all open, right? And they kept them all open, and then they went and they got some dudes, and now you got all these guys coming on. Campagna playing better. I mean, 2 goals, 9.1 FOP mob off the bench. It's like, this isn't the guy we routinely start. And we'll take the result. Look, man, we'll definitely take the result. Super cheeky play by Busquets there to launch Facundo for him to bang that one home. So, look, man, they are just inspired, infused with belief and passion and everything. And we will definitely take SKC not getting any points versus a very rotated Miami team.
And then, man, New England, and we don't like to see this result. The New England Revolution leading 1-0 for, I believe, the last 70 minutes or so of the match, maybe 60, I think, if I recall correctly. But it was at least some of the first half and the entire second half. And then at the death, literally at the death, Dane St. Clair, the Minnesota keeper, is up in the opposing penalty area on a corner kick, because it is literally at the last breath. And Dane St. Clair assists the game-tying goal at the buzzer. New England, I mean, we know what we just did to them at the death. 2 games in a row losing, or not lose. I mean, it feels like it's got to feel like losses for those fans, right? It's just wild to watch shit like that happen week after week in this league.
I mean, it's absolutely fantastic that it's happening to somebody else. So I can definitely commiserate with their fans and understand what they're going through. And that makes me kind of have a soft spot for them right now, because we were this team, just moments ago. But I mean, one of my first introductions to MLS was They're like, this is the league where people score after the 85th minute all the fucking time. Like these games change every night at the last fucking, the last stretch of these games in the end here. And it just keeps happening. And it's awesome for the league. It's exciting. I understand that it's not very exciting for a Revs fan. But look, man, was it Fragapani?
I believe so. I believe he's the one
Just
that
turns around,
him.
lets that thing loose, nets it, and they start partying there in Minnesota. And look, we'll take the draw too. We said we wanted draws. We're not gonna be able to get everything we want, every single result going our way here. Yeah. And it would have been good if Minnesota didn't get any points there, but we'll take it.
Yeah, better than 3, to be sure. And then in the nightcap, Timbers taking on LAFC. In the Timbers, a 2-0 victory. Both of their goals coming from defenders. Claudio Bravo, if you remember, scored the second goal against Austin earlier this season. His first in MLS. He gets his second last night. And LAFC, in the mud, is probably a little bit strong, but they're struggling, man. And this has not been the same LAFC team. Again, they're missing Buanga, missing a couple guys for the international break, but still on 40 points through their 27 matches. They've lost 3 league matches in a row, and they are tied now with Real Salt Lake, both on 40 points from 27 matches played. Houston is just 1 point back of LAFC with 7 matches to play. The West, I feel like it gets more and more crazy the closer we get to the end of the regular season here.
Better fire Cherundolo, man. I don't know what else you could possibly do. There's nothing else to be done. There's only one thing that you can do in this situation. It's get rid of the head coach. Yeah. No, they're stuck a little bit, and it doesn't really make too much sense because they have a dearth of players that they can just call upon and unleash at any point in time. But yeah, you look at that standings, and look, man, we'd be 5 points back if the refs didn't suck.
Yeah, and I forget the name of the Twitter account that does like the photo, taking a 2D photo and putting some 3D imaging over it to determine if certain calls were right or not. And of course, we didn't need that to know that the Rigoni goal from the Seattle match was across the line, but also confirmed by that account that Jordan Morris was offside on his first goal. So again, nothing's changing now, but we'll certainly bitch about it some more. If we're sitting on 36 points and Seattle's on 38, it's just, you have it, maybe not breathing room, but you feel so much better than like the dire straits we're in right now. Austin, through these matches on Saturday, remained in 10th place. Portland with the 3-point victory, or the 2-goal victory, gets all 3 points against LAFC. They are now tied with Austin on 33 points apiece, but Austin staying above them in the standings based on the wins tiebreaker. That's the first tiebreaker in MLS. We have 9 wins. Portland has 8, and Austin now a game in hand. Portland has played 28 matches. Tonight, we won't get this result before the end of the pod tonight, but you do see first place St. Louis City traveling to the West Coast to take on the LA Galaxy. And if one team is going to win this, we want St. Louis. Just extend their lead, keep the Galaxy below us. A Galaxy win would put a little bit of a damper on the results, which I would say thus far this weekend have been pretty good for us.
Yeah, they've been favorable for Austin for sure. Huge matchup looming here with Portland coming into town on the 17th. And yes, we'll be St. Louis fans tonight, as hard as that might be for you.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. Let's talk last business day here. The Rapids did beat Real Monarchs yesterday 2-0, so they have now officially locked up that number 1 seed. Of course, Sporting KC on our butts. Tacoma Defiance just above Austin now. Sporting KC 2 will host Chicago Fire 2, and then Tacoma will host San Jose 2 tonight. Of course, Austin FC taking on I'm looking at the live table here. Sporting Kansas City above Austin at this point. Yeah, so that game has already started. And we're about to kick off here in Minnesota. We have the starting lineup for our boys. We've got Damian in net, of course. Back 4 of Kip and Sal paired in the middle. Joe on the right wearing the armband. Anthony De Anda back in there on the left. Alonso Ramirez Steve, Louis Jean, another happy birthday to Steve from this past week. Valentin Noel, David Rodriguez back in there getting the start, along with EJ and AOC up top. Looking on the bench, Charlie Asensio makes his return to the bench. We'll see if we get number 26 out there for any action tonight. Cristo Vela, Sebastian Pinot on the bench, Irvin Torres, Leo Torres, Chris Pinkham, and then Spencer Sanderson, who I think will probably remain the backup keeper the rest of the year because Eric Lopez was transferred to Orange County SC over the past week. So Eric Lopez, no longer a member of Austin. We appreciate his efforts there with FC2. And Spencer Sanderson looks like he's going to ride out the season until next year when I believe committed to Virginia for his college ball. So what are your takeaways from this lineup? I mean, for me, seeing David back out there is great. Did Czech get hurt last week and I forgot? Because he's not with the team today. I don't remember him taking a knock. So maybe in practice this week or something. How do you feel about this lineup?
I mean, my takeaway was going to be cool. We're getting a little healthier, and now the Czech mystery looms. But David back in the starting lineup, he just does so much for this club, especially with no CJ now. So I'm very excited for that. Very encouraged by that. AOC, we've been wondering, what was going on if he had just completely lost his job to Sebastian, and looks like he's going to get a shot here. So hopefully he can show out, have a good game, and get back to the track that he was on because he was killing it for us earlier in the season. And then, like you said, with Sanderson, I guess that makes sense. Don't see any reason why Damian wouldn't be
right
at all times.
Right. Well, and hopefully Czech, if he's, injured at all, that it's something minor. And you got to I feel just as good with Anthony Deanda in there on the left, and especially Charlie Asensio now, if he's able to come in and play in any sort of minutes. The depth on this team continuing to shine, I think, here. Even with the lack of news, we don't have the transparency into what's going on with some of these guys, but certainly an opportunity, as you mentioned, for Alfonso Ocampo Chavez to show out here today in what, if you want that 2 seed, this is a must-win game.
Yeah.
All right, so this one about to kick off. We're going to go watch it and then come back and talk about the happening. So a couple hours for us, 3 seconds for you all. We'll see you on the other side. Well, that was certainly an entertaining match. Well, maybe not what we wanted at the beginning. That was a long match. We went to 13 rounds of penalties.
That was a wild next pro game. It was entertaining. It got very open there after a while. A lot of chances, a lot of good chances, a lot of crazy plays. The PKs were nuts. But yeah, a tough result, but probably didn't really deserve a point when you go take the whole scope of that game there. So we can walk away with that one with just the point and be fine.
Yeah. And I mean, we did get there was good news in the first half because we mentioned, before the match that SKC2 was winning their game already. They were up 2-0 on Chicago 2, and they blew that lead. They lose 3-2. So that helps us. We do move up or gain a point rather on Sporting KC2. And so getting into this one, on the other side though, this was noteworthy, I think, for any Austin fans. Devin Paddleford was playing, I believe, left back for Loons 2 tonight. He was the kid who came in and scored the lone goal against the first team in the 4-1 blowout. I think he scored the no-look goal off a corner just right after he subbed in. I think it was his first touch. That was his first MLS goal. He was out there for Loons 2 tonight. He also played 3 minutes yesterday in that the game-tying goal game, the subbed in at the end against the Reds. Yeah, it was starting for Loons 2 tonight.
Very cool.
Yeah, it wasn't cool for us, really, because he was pretty good out there. Yeah. So kicking off here, just like they do at the big stadium there, Loon call at the kickoff, which was kind of cool. And Austin was pretty much on the front foot here to start this one. 5th minute, EJ on the break down the left after Val played a really nice through ball to him. EJ cuts it back towards the middle to his right. sends it just over the bar. A couple minutes before, he had a chance from right outside the box and had skied it. So a little bit more accurate there, but not able to put it away. And then the next minute, Kip got beat over the top by Cameron Lacey. And Kip goes to ground. Lacey fires it into a dangerous area right at the near post. Damian was able to scoop it up before the Minnesota attacker could tap it home. And after that, the game, like you said, pretty much the whole time was very up and down, very open, but not a ton of chances in the first 20 minutes after that. And Austin somewhat started to fade after that.
Yeah, and I mean, we came out crisp, and it looked good, and then we slowly start to go downhill for the entire rest of the match. And like you said, yeah, it opens up, I think, 32 total shots for the game. So it really starts to open up here, and we got fortunate with our goal, and they really deserved to have more than one. So, you know, at the end of the day, if we were walking away on the other side, we'd probably be feeling a lot worse, but
sure. 22nd minute, Kip Keller sits down here, kind of grabbing his ankle. I couldn't tell if it was like an ankle injury. He was messing with his shoe. Could have maybe been a soft tissue thing, I guess. Maybe the groin demon got him. But he ended up limping off under his own power. Chris Pinkham subs in, which moves Captain Joe to center back. Pinkham there on the right. 26th minute, AOC gets taken down 15 yards outside the box. Alonso Ramirez and David Rodriguez stood over it. David whipped it in with his left, got cleared out to Steve. Steve ended up turning it over, and then some good transition defense by Austin to stop the Minnesota counter there. 32nd minute, you get a long throw by Pinkham here, and this is something that, and maybe I've just missed this over the last few games, if this is something we've been doing more at the FC2 level, but that long throw, you know, a la Nick Lima. Chris Pinkham was the guy on both sides tonight taking those long throws, and I hadn't noticed FC2 doing that as much. You know, the first team tries to do it, I think, as much as possible. And I think that was something that I noticed out of Pinkham tonight. You know, I know Czech Touré and those guys will do the long throws, but I think Pinkham just maybe looked the best doing it. He's a bigger guy for a fullback.
I mean, if he's going to be that guy and he's the man who takes the long throws, I'm fine with it. And I thought he did good with his delivery tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that I had in the notes was I think every time he tossed it in there, it was to the right area. You know, obviously we weren't able to bury any of those, but it was causing deflections and loose balls, and you know, it's what you want to see out of you know, kind of the pseudo set piece like that. 37th minute, the Minnesota keeper catches a Steve Louis-Jean cross and tries to like roll it out to his teammate as an outlet on the right, and EJ's lurking right there, and like as soon as it touches the ground, pokes it away, and then he taps it again to AOC, who's kind of loose at the top of the box, and he curls a shot. Obviously, there's scrambling Loons 2 defenders in the box at that point. He curls it over everybody and into the back of the net. So that's kind of how he's gotten all of his goals this year. I feel like opportunistic, being in the right spot at the right time, and it pays off for him.
It was a good shot. It was a nice finish. I mean, for as fortunate as it was to get that loose ball off the keeper, who still ended up being the man of the match.
Yeah.
Was fortunate, but a great finish, lofted it over some defenders there, and you know, composed.
40th minute here, a Minnesota shot's deflected in the box, and the rebound is volleyed towards the net and gets deflected out for a corner. Pinkham skies to head it clear, and then EJ gets a nice bounce and takes off. And 2-on-1 here, I thought he really missed a chance to play AOC, who was kind of free down the right. And ends up turning it over. And so certainly a learning moment in the film session coming up this week. But it was you know, it was a chance for EJ to show off his speed and maybe distracted by getting in that one-on-one battle and just not seeing his teammate. Because I think AOC was a little bit out of his peripheral there.
Yeah, I mean, he's moving so fast. He just needs, you know, the next step mentally for his mind to be keeping up with how fast he's actually moving.
Sure.
It's going to be lethal.
Yeah, good point. Minnesota takes off with that ball, and they win another corner. Pinkham collides with, I believe, Marquez here on that ensuing corner, and he stays down for the better part of like 5 minutes. Ends up walking off under his own power. I kind of thought, you know, when he got up, because he wasn't like, it didn't seem like concussion to me. It looked like he was holding his nose. I thought, yeah, maybe a broken nose, at least a bloody nose.
Yeah.
And Austin looks like they're going to have to play out the half. There was 6 minutes of stoppage. EJ moved to right back in Pinkham's place, and it looked like they were going to have to play out the half a man down, but Pinkham was led on in the 5th minute of stoppage time. And then in the 7th, you get a little bit of extra stoppage time here. Val gets deep in the box and has his shot blocked by the keeper up into the air. Austin was able to kind of jostle it out to the right, where Noel tries to volley that loose ball home and sends it over the bar to end the half. But it was nice to see Austin, being able to sustain the pressure down a man for 5 minutes or so, and then, continuing to put the heat on right up to the buzzer there.
Yeah, that injury kind of took a little air out of the game because he was down for so long. So it wasn't too, fast and furious at the end. But then we have this nice little spurt there, and it was encouraging, particularly, when we hadn't done enough, I felt like, to really feel good about that first half. So we'll see.
At least up to the standard that this team has set, where the bar is for us now as fans. We expect this team to be an elite level team in this league.
I know. I was thinking about it the other day, and like when we were talking about it and like trying to get the defense back to form, and it was just too high of a standard.
Sure.
We were like, man, if we're only giving up 1 goal, it's still like incredible.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was probably a little too harsh in my judgment, and we've hit a bit of a wall, and the CJ factor is big. Like I
was just about to say that.
It's big. I mean, just his physicality, his presence.
Yeah.
Like we really miss it, and we have not been able to adjust to his absence, and I don't think we can. You know what I mean? CJs don't just grow on trees.
Yeah,
we took him with a high pick for a good reason. So we just haven't found the answer to that void that's been created with him being gone.
Well, and we've had a lot of rotation on David's been working his way back, Micah missing tonight and Bobo missing tonight in the midfield. So there's certainly there's a lack of continuity, I think, and that may be catching up to us a little bit in addition to the CJ point, because that was literally took that sentence off my tongue. I was about to be like, I think we miss CJ a little bit here.
Yeah.
Just like you mentioned, the physicality there. So at half, Pinkham has to sub on again because his jersey was bloody. So then he got the blood jersey, the blank one, and they had to let him on there in the 46th. 50th minute here, David takes the ball right off a Minnesota player, knocks it to AOC, who turns, takes a couple touches towards the center of the box, rips a shot. It's just basically him and the keeper, 2 defenders kind of sandwiching him, but there's plenty of space. And that keeper, like you mentioned, he ended up getting in the Fop Mob model, the player of the match, man of the match. And both keepers saw a ton of shots coming their way between regulation and the shootout. So that corner by Austin off the AOC shot is swung back around to the top. And Iwe fouls Alonso and gets a yellow card for it. Mm-hmm. Austin gets another free kick. Same 2 guys line up over it. This is actually the 3rd time we've seen this alignment. There was a free kick a few minutes before where David and Alonso were over the top of it, and David takes it with his left, and that in-swinging ball. And nobody home again on the back post, but he's putting 2 in a row where he put it right in the spot where I think he's supposed to, kind of right on the edge, back post there on the 6-yard box.
And this is part of the things that have been lacking is that usually we've been really crisp on all of our set pieces and we're in the right spot at the right time, and it hasn't happened here. And I don't know if that, David's got a little rust from not having game time, game speed stuff with the boys, but it showed here. Like you said, nobody's home.
Well, we don't have all the XG models and such for Next Pro available to us, but I imagine that on our set piece XG, we were overperforming at times earlier this year. So also probably just coming, kind of regressing back to the mean there. But I think good point on David. Hasn't had a ton of chances to do that yet here in his return. 58th minute, Cameron Lacey, who was dangerous all night. Mm-hmm. I thought he's defended really well by Sal here. But Lacey, that is, was kind of able to curl a shot around Sal's outstretched leg in the middle of the box there and over Damian, but it hits the crossbar and bounces back out. And Austin clears. Pinkham then picks up a yellow card in the next minute and double change in the 61st. Cristo Vela on for EJ and Sebastian Pignot on for David. So it looks like David probably on that 60-minute limit here tonight. Yep. And we go to the double striker look on offense, which the few times we've seen it this year, I don't recall it being super effective.
It hasn't even been memorable enough for me to go back to when we did it.
Yeah. I remember what game was it? There was a game where we started with it.
Started
and we're
with
like,
it once.
okay.
Yeah.
And it looked bad, and then we subbed one off and we scored like almost right away, if I recall correctly. I forget what game that was, but okay, 62nd minute here. Minnesota cross comes in. It gets just over down to on the backside, so it's near side to the broadcast camera. And Mosquera nods it towards the target, but it goes off the post and like kind of past Damian, but it's still on the line. We clear it off the line, but Loon's able to stay in possession. And Cristo Vela fouls a Loons player here right on the edge of the 18. That free kick gets blocked by the Wall. The Wall did a good job tonight. It helped that the Loons were sending those balls right into them. But a Minnesota player like runs onto it, after the block, Minnesota stays in possession and sends across from that left side. I think it was Paddleford over what is a jumbled up Austin backline coming off of that free kick. Minnesota player runs onto that cross on the right side and turns upfield to kind of slow it down. And this is where Anthony Deanda clips. I don't remember which player it was, but he clips him and he goes down. And it was a foul, just kind of like a sloppy play.
Yeah.
And a play, I think, again, we've seen it from some of our younger guys who come up through the academy ranks and get to this, professional level. I think that's something. It's a good learning moment for Anthony Deanda here, because it's just you can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, and it was a little unfortunate, and just a helter-skelter kind of play there, and everything's going on, and it pops out to the side, and just a tough one. But I agree, it was a penalty. Took them, they got tangled up. I mean,
it wasn't like he was being overly aggressive or anything. I think you said it perfectly. Just got tangled up. Unfortunate. Yeah. And then so Cameron Lacey lines it up, sends Damian the wrong way, and we're tied. And man, after that, did it get really dicey? Like we didn't fall apart because we did not concede.
Yeah.
But man, were we leaking.
Oh, we were asking for it.
70th minute, Austin gets a turnover here, takes off on the break. Cristo Vela cuts towards the middle and right into the path of a deflected Austin shot, and then he puts it off the post. And the angle that was at from the broadcast camera, like, I was like, did that hit the back of the net and bounce out that hard? Because I really thought he was going to bury that, and just some bad luck there for Cristo.
Indeed.
Double change here in the 77th. Leo Torres on for AOC, and Charlie Asensio back in there. First time since June 30th in there for Anthony Deanda. And really the rest of the way, up and down, it continued. Still would say in favor of Minnesota down the last 12 minutes here of the 90. And then we get another 6 minutes of stoppage time here in the second half. And we get Loon calls coming from the fans themselves here. You heard it after the goal, and then the fans doing it, not as cool for me. It's just shut up.
yeah, I get it.
6 minutes of stoppage time. Austin gets out on a break here, and Leo Torres takes it himself over the half line. Defense just gives him a pass straight to the goal, and he takes what the defense gives him. And the keeper makes a great save here. Emmings was the keeper's name.
Yep.
Great save there to paw it out for a corner. That corner is cleared out for an Austin throw on the left. Pinkham jogs over, takes the long throw, gets headed 3 times in the box, and ultimately cleared out, and the whistle blows to send us to penalties. Austin could have clinched or guaranteed that the first round matchup in the playoffs would be at home with a shootout victory. We end up going here through 13 rounds, as we mentioned before. We can rapid fire it here, E, because I think the way this went down, we have to actually talk about some of this in detail. Pinkham scores the first, Charlie scores the second, then Damian blocks the second chance from Minnesota, and Alonso Ramirez scores the third. Minnesota player tries to chip Damian. It hits the crossbar and bounces out. Mm-hmm. So through 3 rounds, it's 3-1, and we're feeling this is locked up, at least in my eyes. Yep. Then Val also goes off the crossbar. Didn't try to get so cheeky to chip the keeper, but just misplaced it. Damian gets a mitt on the 4th one, but it goes in anyways, and then Joe gets blocked. So we go to extra rounds. Pignot bangs in the 6th round attempt. The keeper got his glove to that one too, though. Some of these that we got past Emmings, he was right on top of as well. Watching him and Damian go at it was fun.
Yeah, and then Damian gets a little too juiced up.
Yeah. Well, so Leo Torres gets his shot blocked away by the keeper's diving foot there. And then Damian stops the shot with help from the crossbar on this one, but also got his mitt to it. And that was right after Minnesota had celebrated too early on the previous save. Some of those guys on the sideline, I think, thought it was over. Our guys get upset, and Damian, it looked like I think he's pointing to like our bench, but also just gesturing towards the sideline a little bit, just a little bit.
Something was going on there.
Then Damian steps up. He gets blocked by Emmings. And then Damian comes back on the other side, saves the match again. He blocks that one. And then, look, I have a question about this. Cristo Vela comes up in round 9. Well, look, I know we saw some awesome drop kicks from Damian in goalie wars and everything, but why is Cristo Vela, with the shots that we've seen him hit this year, why is he not before Damian? I don't get that.
I don't even know why he's not in the first 5. Like, he was the guy he's taking PKs in games for us.
Yeah, and ripped free kicks from outside the box and buried it. Like,
I was shocked that he wasn't in the first 5, and then to see him at 9. Well, Damian waved somebody off. That's what I'm saying. After he got that, if he told somebody, like, because we didn't know where to send, because he's over there like telling people.
Okay, so he changed this
one and end it. Because I was in goalie wars and so then we got Cristo and then he takes his and it's just it was the best one of the night.
Yeah, it looked good. So that's 5-4. Minnesota scores. Sal puts his away in round 10, 6-5. Minnesota scores. Steve puts his away 7-6. And then Damian right on Emming's chance there, but it gets past him. 7-7. We reset to the top of the order. Pinkham gets his second one to go 8-7. Charlie's second chance gets blocked. And then a good shot here, I thought, by the Loons player to get past Damian because he guessed right. He just quick run up, banged it right on that left post and got it past Loss. So Austin falls 9-8 in 13 rounds of penalties. And taking a look at the table here, Tacoma kicking off here in a little under an hour. We are now tied with Tacoma on points and ahead of them on goal differential by an advantage of 3 goals. So if they lose tonight, we will head into the penultimate match day in second place. But we have at least secured the 3 seed for another week. And again, 2 and 3 seeds get to pick their opponents. Obviously, the 2 being the best prize we can get here in the regular season. The rest of the way. Anything else for you on this one before we close out the pod?
No, I thought we did a pretty good job breaking that down. Wasn't a game that we needed to win.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a game we deserve to get 3 points out of, and then a bunch of just lunacy kind of happens in that PK shootout, and you could have got 2, but didn't really deserve it.
Yeah, lunacy. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but I'll give you credit for it.
Did not.
Regardless. Yeah, man, I certainly agree. It definitely didn't deserve 3 points there. Well done by the team to keep it together through the helter-skelter last half hour there of regulation. And man, everybody battled, especially Damian there, through that elongated shootout. But coming home with a point, no shame in that. And again, Colorado coming up this Friday. We'll preview that match on Wednesday's episode. So I'll ask you once again, anything else you want to touch on, get off your chest before we say goodbye on the shortest episode we've had? This is episode 89.
No.
All right. A man of few words today, so I'll try not to talk too much here to close it out. We appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us here on episode 89 of the North End Podcast. If you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the pod, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Help us grow the podcast. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that thumbs up button, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. And if you've got a friend who you know likes Austin FC, maybe listens to podcasts, make sure they're listening to the North End Podcast. Tell them about the podcast. We would greatly appreciate any and all of that you would do for us. And hopefully we see you back here on Wednesday, previewing Austin FC's home matchup against the Portland Timbers, previewing Austin FC 2's big-time matchup with the number 1 seed Colorado Rapids and the return of the Grill Master E. Best ball, bets, all the nonsense, all that. Enjoy the beginning of your week, everybody. We will do the same. Until then, he's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.